Lego review. Right, don't ask why I had these on. We're not gonna talk about it. Anyways, what's up guys? My name is Stonix, come back at you with another Lego video. So today, we are going to be reviewing the Lego expansion for Forza Horizon 4, going in depth, taking a close look at it, seeing all the features that have come with it, everything that's interesting about it, all the things that are good with it, the bad with it, everything. And is it worth it? Should you buy it? We'll talk about that in this video, so stick around for that if you are curious, or if you want to know my overall thoughts on the expansion. But before we do begin, follow me on all these things down here and subscribe. Yeah, I think that's what all the cool YouTubers say. Anyways, let's just literally get right into it. So, let's just do a quick rundown in case you are literally under a rock. If you should probably get help. But if you didn't know, or you know nothing about the Lego expansion, or you just want to know more about it before you buy it, or whatever the case is, let's do a quick rundown on everything that has come with this expansion, and just a quick little overview of everything that came with this expansion. So in the Lego Speed Champions expansion, you enter a world called Lego Valley, where you compete in different kinds of races to collect Lego bricks, with which you can level up and become a Lego Speed Champion and Master Builder, as well as add on to your Lego Master Builder's house and collect a couple of cool Lego cars. There's a speck on my glasses. Go away! Right, anyways, back to it. Also in this expansion, they added a, like, Daytona-style racetrack, which has never been in a Forza Horizon game, let alone a Forza game in general. I mean, obviously you have Forza Motorsport that is strictly track-based, but it's not an open-world game. You start on the track and that's it. Whereas in a Forza game, there's never been something where you could just straight up drive from a random part of the map and drive to the racetrack. So that's really, really cool if you ask me. And most of the world is made of Lego and has a lot of Lego elements. There's still some bits of it that are from the main bit of the game, and we'll get into that. So let's just start off with the map and kind of do a in-depth rundown of everything that came with this expansion, and I'll give my opinions on some things along the way. So let's just start off with the map. So the pause menu map is an actual render of what it would look like if they were to be built with real Legos, which is actually really freaking cool if you ask me. So basically they had a guy use the same software that I think they used for the Lego movies actually, and he went in and kind of did a render of what the map would look like if you actually built it with Legos, which I think is unnecessary, but it's really, really cool. And to be honest, I'm actually very pleased with that. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. Let's try that again. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing, and I think that it was very well done as well. Now, this render of the map when you're in the pause menu is not exact to how the map actually is, but I don't really expect it to be. I think is very impressive the fact that they even did this in the first place, so I wouldn't expect it to be perfect. Plus, you're building with Legos as is, and there's no way to exactly replicate the way that it's built in the game. And like I mentioned, some elements of the map are real, some of them are Lego. Like, some trees are normal trees from like the main bit of the game, some of them are Lego trees that you can smash through, some of them you can't smash through, which doesn't make sense. Some of the trees you can smash through and others you can't. Doesn't make sense. But then the same goes with like little grass and plants and other little things around the map that some are Lego, some aren't. Now, a lot of people are very one-sided about this. I've heard is like a lot of people would have rather had it be all Lego. Other people felt like it was too much Lego. Personally, for me, I think it was a nice middle ground. I think enough of it was Lego and enough of it wasn't, because if everything was Lego, that would just be too much. Like, I feel like that would just kind of take away the whole Forza Horizon 4 feel. At that point, it might as well just be a Lego game instead of Horizon 4. So I think that was a nice mix. So moving on to the cars that we get with this expansion, as of now, we only have 3 usable cars, which are the McLaren Senna, the Ferrari F40C, and the Mini Cooper S, as well as a barn find, but we can't even use the barn find yet, which literally doesn't make sense. But alright, Playground Games, we'll roll with the punches here. In my opinion, I feel like there's just a huge lack of cars here. Once you find the barn find car, it gives you a prompt. And when you try to use the car, it's like load into the car, it gives you the prompt basically saying that there's going to be a future content update which will allow the guy to continue building it or something, which basically means at some point there will be an update which will allow us to use it, which kind of just doesn't make sense. Like, why not, you know, let us use it as soon as the expansion came out, which kind of makes it feel like the expansion was just a bit rushed so that they can get it out in time for E3, which is understandable. But at the same point, you had like 7-8 months now to work on this expansion, and we also had to wait longer than normal for this expansion in the first place, so kind of just doesn't make sense, especially considering Playground Games themselves mentioned that it's easier to scan and add Lego cars than it is normal cars, so there really shouldn't be any excuse here as to why we only have 3 cars anyways, as well as a barn find car that we can't even use yet, which for the reason for that I have no clue. It could be that that car just wasn't ready to be usable yet, or it could be that they were waiting to keep the expansion alive a little bit longer, which there could have been other ways that they could have done that, but we'll get into that. And I think, like I mentioned, every expansion so far far for a Horizon game has always included 7 or more cars. That's the thing. The fact that there's only 3 usable cars in this expansion makes it feel like there's just a huge lack of content and a lack of cars in this. I don't know. So let's move on to the progression of this expansion, because I think it's actually very clever the way that they did it, and I think it's very well done. So the progression in the LEGO expansion feels much more refined and rewarding than that of the main part of the game. So in order to progress and level up throughout the LEGO expansion, you have to do different races, different events, different little challenges. There's things like discovery things where like go find this landing pad or go find this spot on the map and you'll get a certain amount of bricks for that, or go get 3 stars on this speed zone or whatever and you'll get a certain amount of LEGO bricks for that, which I think is actually kind of cool if you ask me. And at a certain point, there's different thresholds. Once you pass a threshold, you'll like, hey, here's an upgrade for your master builder's house that you can add to. So like, I know one of them is like, here's a new soccer pitch, here's a helicopter, here's a dinosaur, here's a UFO. It doesn't make sense, but it's LEGO and it's really not supposed to. But regardless, that whole idea makes it feel so much more rewarding, and I think that's awesome. And on top of collecting these LEGO bricks to add on to your master builder's house, you also have to collect these bricks in order to build those cars that I had mentioned, which is pretty cool if you ask me. But again, lack of cars kind of feels boring. And as it turns out, these LEGO variants of the cars are actually very slightly better than the main version of those cars, which kind of doesn't make sense, but kind of does. I don't know. They claim that they're exact same. They're not. The LEGO variants have been proven to be just slightly better. So moving on to storyline, there's little to no storyline in this expansion whatsoever, which is kind of expected, but at the same point, it would have been better if there was at least a little bit of a storyline, because you progress and become a master builder and level up and things like that, but there's no character development for anything. There's no really driven storyline that would want to keep you playing. To be fair, some may argue that a Forza expansion really doesn't need that deep of a storyline at all, but in my opinion, I feel like a storyline would make the expansion so much more memorable, and it would definitely last much longer than it did, which was literally 4 days before people stopped playing it, because they got the cars and they're like, all right, I'm done with this. Now, quickly moving on to multiplayer, you can play online and do races with your friends and things like that. However, there is no maps for playground events. There's no online adventure, which doesn't make sense, and it is a huge missed opportunity, and definitely one factor to playing into the expansion losing a lot of interest very quickly, like I said, in a matter of like 4 days. And that's a perfect segue actually into moving on to the missed opportunities with this expansion. So like I mentioned, you can't even build anything in the expansion. Everything in your house is already built. You can't build anything with your house. You can't build your own car. You can't really build anything with the Legos, which when you think of Legos, you think, hey, I'm gonna build something with my imagination and it's gonna not look like anything at all, but it's gonna be unique because I made it and that's what I wanted it to look like, I guess. And the fact that you can't build anything, you can't have any kind of creative output in this game, and it's kind of annoying, which in one way that can be kind of understandable, just because it'd be kind of hard to consider every situation where this person would want to build something completely different, whereas this person would want to build something completely different from the different that's already different. So it's very difficult to already account for a lot of different things, but it's just, I don't know. Also, the lack of cars, like I mentioned, almost every expansion so far has had 7 or more cars, and with this expansion only having 3 plus 1 that you can't even use yet, it's like, it just really doesn't make sense. Plus, like I said, Playground Games mentioned that it's easier to add these cars than it is the real cars, so there's really no excuse for them to not have more cars in it. I don't know, man. They do whatever they want at this point. So, let's move on to some pros and cons of the overall expansion so far, and some more in-depth thoughts of mine that I have on the expansion. So, some pros for this expansion is it's a fun, colorful new way to play Forza Horizon 4. It kind of takes you back to your childhood days of playing with Legos, and it mixes something that we already enjoy, which is Horizon, and driving around and doing stupid stuff in stupid cars, and adding more, you know, of your childhood to it. And I think that's honestly kind of cool. Smashing through Legos has never felt more satisfying, if I'm completely honest with you, so I think that's one positive to it. Secondly, there's a racetrack. Like I said, that's never been in a Horizon game, especially one that you could just drive up to. That's never been in a Forza game in general. So I think that's a really big addition, and I really do like that addition into the expansion. I know a lot of people are also appreciative of that. I think it's really cool. I think it definitely appeals to a lot of people. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it appeals to younger kids, and I'm an adult, so that doesn't make sense. Why would I play it? There's something that all age ranges can find in this expansion. I think that's the good part about it. Like, for younger kids, of course, you know, smashing through Legos and doing cool stunts at the stunt park and things like that. There's that. And then for the, you know, the older audience, I'm gonna be honest, some of the race courses that they already have made on this expansion expansion are pretty good, if you ask me. The racetrack on top of that, like, that would appeal to older audiences as well, doing some NASCAR races or Formula Drift around the actual infield racetrack. There's a drag strip there as well. There's a lot that would interest a lot of different age ranges, and I think that's really good. I think that's a good thing. So moving on to the cons, like I said, there's just so many missed opportunities. It bothers me how many missed opportunities there were in this expansion, and it literally just shows that, like, with how quick the expansion has died off, a lot of people are still playing it, a lot of people are still getting it, a lot of people are still considering getting it. I mean, that might be why you're watching this video, but at the end of the day, for all the people who played it from the time that it launched until now, which is about almost 2 weeks later after it had launched, there's just not that many people playing it anymore. I mean, there was so much potential with this expansion, and it just didn't go the way that we had hoped it would gone. And to be honest with you, it just feels like a 3-day single-player grind fest. You hop on, you build the house, you get your cars that you want, the Senna and the F40, then you hop off and you don't really have any other reason to hop on except for maybe the racetrack, but that's kind of about it. So to be honest with you, it doesn't really feel that worth it in my eyes. Like I said, that definitely kills the longevity of it because you just play it for 3 days. We've waited 7 months for this expansion, and to only get about 3 to 4 days of playtime out of it as far as actually getting the single player and progression done feels so boring, you know, if you ask me. So things that Playground Games could do moving forward that could bring so much more life into this expansion and keep moving forward to the third expansion, which if you didn't know, we're going to be getting a third expansion in Forza Horizon 4 probably, I would imagine, around like the beginning of the next year. And if we have to wait the same amount of time that we had to wait for the second expansion, they're going to need to draw this out as much as possible, and if they're not going to do anything with it, then this expansion is already dead, and as far as I'm concerned, I just kind of don't want to play it anymore. They need to add maps for Playground Game events like King, Infection, Flag Rush, things like that. A few cool places that they could put this is literally the stunt park, the airport. That would be another, like, literally perfect spot. Maybe out by the sand dunes, by the UFO crash site, that would be another great spot. So there's so many spots that they could add these things that really needed to be there at launch. And on top of that, another thing that will keep this moving forward even further than just straight up adding the maps for these playground events is adding different sizes for these maps, like similar to what they had in Horizon 3. They had the small map, medium map, large, and extra large maps for these infection maps and whatnot, and I think that really added a lot more variety to these maps, because say you have a full lobby of 12 people and you want to hop on the smallest map possible and see how hectic that can get. That can be fun sometimes, and trying to survive long on that gets kind of crazy, and it's a lot of fun. So I think they need to add different, like, size variants of these maps as well. That'll help extend the longevity of the expansion so much more. And they also need to add online adventure for the people who like racing and being competitive and racing against other people around in the world. I think that'd be a huge deal, as well as more cars. The fact that, one, we have a car that we can't even use yet is kind of lame, and there definitely needs to be more than 4 cars total. I don't know, we'll see what happens. There needs to be more cars regardless, like easily, like at least 4 more cars. 3 cars just ain't gonna cut it, Playground. Come on now. So overall, to wrap it up, I would personally rate this expansion a 6 out of 10. Simply just because, you know, there's a lot of good things that they did with it and a lot of things that I liked about it, but the amount of missed opportunities and disappointments that came with this expansion, I think, is what's taking a big toll on that rating there, and I think it could definitely be much better. That rating could change if they do the things that I had mentioned, like adding the maps for playground events, online adventure, or cars. That rating could easily go up. Playground Games, if any of you guys from Playground Games are watching this, on the off chance that you are, please just try to make it happen. Just try to make, if you can't make it happen, at least let us know, because that would help a ton. Just the communication would resolve a ton of things. If you're watching this video and you're interested in buying this expansion, you want to know, like, hey, should I buy this? Should I not? Personally, I would say save your money for now. At least wait. Unless you want to try it out immediately, go for it. It's your money. You do you. But at this point, I would say it's almost just more worth it to wait and see what they do with it, because as it stands right now, it's really just not worth it. If they add these things, oh, 100% go for it. If they don't, then save your money. Just don't bother. But that's just my opinion. You can do you, get your own opinion on it, but that's just my personal opinion on how I feel about this expansion. I want to know what you guys think. Comment down below. Make sure you subscribe to the like button and donate to the notification bell, link in description. So, if you want to make sure that you always get notifications for when I do happen to go live or when I upload cool videos, because I've got a lot of cool video ideas coming out very, very soon, which you are not going to want to miss. If you're worried you're not going to get a notification because YouTube literally just doesn't work anymore, apparently, then join the Discord, like I said. Link is in the description. You'll always get notified when I go live on Twitch, when I go live on YouTube, when I upload a video to YouTube, so that you can be first on the video. Follow me on Twitter. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I post really cool car pictures and things like that, and pictures of cars I take in real life and stuff like that. So definitely follow me over there. And we're getting super close to 1.1K over there, so go do that. But anyways, my name is Stonix. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget, stay strong and just keep pushing forward. Take care.